on?
Oh, I didn't know.
All right, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good
Have a
night.
good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye. That was nice. She described both of our personalities. She said, you get excited because nobody wants to do anything. We're live? Oh, okay. We had a nice call during the break from an 84-year-old lady, and listen, we appreciate it. That's awesome that we have somebody in that age bracket watching the show. And we do have a lot of people watching the show that we know just from our feedback. Tomorrow night, Elise's 6:30.
We'll talk more about what we've just talked about.
Brad will be talking about that. I'm putting together our meeting on August 10th. Have one of the candidates coming for State Treasurer, John Schroeder, and trying to get a group of our Acadia, Vermilion, Lafayette, who else?
You're in the Acadiana contingent.
The Acadiana contingent that did such a marvelous job this session voting against the taxes. Although it cost us all of our little projects, it doesn't matter. All the governors do that. If you don't listen to what they want to do.
I think the larger principle at stake and the fact that we had some good, honest conservatives who stood up, who did their jobs, and a big hand of applause given to those guys and gals because it's overdue in the state of Louisiana. The John Alario style politicians who date back to the Edwin Edwards term, that's how long Alario's been around. I'm surprised the Smithsonian hadn't come down to do anthropological studies on him. He's been around so long. Dinosaur. He's been in politics almost as long as I've been alive, and yet our contingent faced off with him and basically won. I mean, they didn't get everything they wanted, but neither did Alario either.
And the reason, and I've talked to a lot of them, and I just got to get the message out to them, the time and everything. I want the people to come and be able to meet these people, and I know that Brett and I have told them personally and otherwise how proud we were of them. People like Julie Emerson, turning out to be a rock star right there, and Bob Henskin, who's a good friend of ours from the Vermilion.
You know what we need to do? We need to get Julie a T-shirt made that has the Gang of No on the shirt, because
she'd wear it.
It's an inside joke, folks, but basically our Acadiana contingent said no so many times to the powers that be that they were referred to as the Gang of No.
Yeah.
And I just think that would be appropriate to have a T-shirt made up that actually says that.
But anyways, that's what, August 10th. Mark your calendar at the Robichaux Center, starting at 6 o'clock. Should be a very, very intriguing evening. We want to work on the State Police Department.
Oh, that's always a good topic.
I have some headlines here. Zurich, State Police Commissioner accused of fixing tickets and threatening a trooper. Now, I don't know the whole story here. I didn't have an opportunity to read all this.
I can summarize it for you if you wish.
You would? And you're the law officer.
Once upon a time, there was a guy named in this article who is on the State Police Commission. There is a commission that oversees the comings and goings of the state police. And what happened is, started off, his daughter was arrested on DWI. And basically what comes out of it is, based on the fact that he is on the police commission, these people expect to be given professional courtesy to themselves and all their relatives, and they expected that DWI was not to be written, and his daughter was not to have been arrested. And then he threatened that trooper with working a long stint in a transfer in New Orleans. And he said, basically the wording in the article was that trooper ought to be sent to New Orleans for a time until he gets his mind right. Now, the author of the article basically confronted this state police commissioner, and of course the weaselly-mouthed commissioner lies and schemes and does what it is, but he was confronted with it, and this knowledge has been with the governor for probably about a year right now.
About a year, they
and the
say.
governor has done nothing. I think this fellow's name was Braxton. I believe the police commissioner's name is.
Written by Lee Zurich. I'm looking.
But
I
the
think
name
Braxton is the name of the guy.
of the commissioner, who is dirty. And he is up to his eyeballs in fixing tickets and doing all sorts of other little things. And by the way,
Yeah,
For-
it's Braxton's daughter that they stopped.
that's what I said,
Yeah, and
word for word. And he threatened the trooper who wrote her the DWI and arrested her. And he said, word for word, that he expected to be given professional courtesy as well as his daughter. And that trooper should have known that he was going to get professional courtesy and should have known who I was and not arrested my daughter for that. Really? Notwithstanding the fact that if his daughter was arrested for DWI, that means she was an impaired driver, meaning she could have killed someone, not just herself. You know, if she wants to take herself out the gene pool, that's one issue. But a drunk driver, she's a threat to everybody else on the road. And if she's driving 75, 80 miles an hour behind a 2-ton missile, aka a car, that's a threat. But the other problem with this is that this cat right here also fixed tickets and did a few other interesting things. Dumbbell got the complaint a year ago and knows all about it and did nothing, zero.
And this just adds to the pile. We had the head guy,
Edmondson.
Edmondson, retires after two incidents of 2014 and 2016.
Oh, Jim, that brings back your favorite person. Where was Jeff Landry with this? That's corruption the AG should be investigating and prosecuting. Where is he?
I missed that.
Where's he on this? Where was Edmondson when the $78,000 was spent malfeasance in office for the trip to the beer bash to San Diego, the drunk driving, the overspenditures for the $500 a night
Picture,
hotel
okay.
room?
I
you know?
still think the most intelligent thing those guys did was during the conference, during the day, they have a picture they posted on Facebook.
Yeah,
of
in a bar.
All of them
In a bar.
at a bar.
And not at the conference.
Now that's real line of intelligence.
It's called proof.
Yeah.
Proof.
It's pretty hard to get around that.
But you know, Jim, have you noticed all the little public service announcement that the governor's been the AG's been putting out on sanctuary cities and catching this and catching that, when he lets the real criminals go free? You got a state police superintendent that the AG had all of the evidence to prosecute easily. It's on Facebook. All he had to do. Jim, how hard is it for the AG's office investigators to print all of those people involved's Facebook page before it was deleted and then take that straight to court? How hard would that have been?
This
We know about it.
if
We've
we
got the
read
copy.
this,
We've got it.
This is in detail.
Look,
This is the whole investigation right here.
we are nobodies. We are nobodies, and we got all the dirt. So you're trying to tell me that the Attorney General of the state of Louisiana don't have investigators who can't go out and find out this stuff and prosecute it? No, but he's worried too much about sanctuary
I have
cities.
to tell you something.
What's that?
I read an article the other day in the Baton Rouge Advocate that now the governor and Jeff are on friendly terms because they settled that money deal.
Well, of course. You know, I had high hopes for Jeff Landry whenever he came in.
It started out good.
I know a lot of people from the Iberia, Abbeville area who really had some negative things to say about him. And I'm not going to go into detail about what was said. I'm just going to say that some people had some serious negative things to say about him. And I used to say, well, so far he seems to be doing his job. Folks, y'all were all right. I was wrong. I should have listened to y'all. I should have believed y'all. Because the people who knew him from the area said every time I'd mention his name, they'd roll their eyes. Well, you just wait and see.
I got that same reaction, and I don't live in New Iberia, but I have a lot of
Because I got it
good
from,
friends in New Iberia,
they knew him.
and they would tell me, "You like Jeff Landry?"
That's the same thing they told me.
Yeah, it's like, well,
Because when the FBI went through Harson's DA's office, Landry came behind and prosecuted a few more, one in the DMV, one in the city marshal's office even, and made a good showing there. But after that, his proposed investigation into the Alton Sterling cops, after the FBI has checked them proctologically for every sign, symptom, and issue of crime that could possibly be there, and didn't find anything. Oh, Landry we need to go invest those people, and be a little race pandering here. We got to go investigate those people, make those criminals out there in Baton Rouge happy, got to pander to the criminals, the voters.
see, now you have one, I have one.
Fire away.
Here. New low reached in attempts.
What does that mean? Does that mean it's all the way down to hell? Because to reach a new low with the Louisiana State Police, you got to work, because we've had dirt almost every month from January on.
Yeah, I know. Some friends of mine said I better never get pulled over by the
Well, it's okay. They're all in federal court, so you're good.
Well, new low reached in attempts to smear former LSPC director to Stanby lawsuit, but still no report on LSTA contributions.
And that's what the federal grand jury is looking at, are those financial
We
contributions.
never found out what the 18,
They've never released it.
they never
They've
released
never
that.
released it.
This here,
That's the goat man.
go man.
Go ahead, goat man.
Hey,
Hey,
you're talking about the policeman with the Alex Sterling deal.
right?
Being the feds had cleared them, isn't it against the Fifth Amendment of the Bill of Rights that they cannot be prosecuted for the same crime?
No, because they play a little game with that. I agree with you, but the way they play the game with that is they claim that federal civil rights violation is a different charge than a local criminal charge, notwithstanding that the facts in the same crime are used twice. And technically, the double jeopardy statute in the Constitution says that you cannot be tried for the same crime twice. But the people with the gold make the rules, so here we are.
Yeah, that is. But
Again?
they were called out there because Sterling didn't he wave his gun
Yes,
or
he
shoot
did.
somebody with a gun
What he was
before
doing
they
was-
went out there?
He was waving a gun around threatening people because he was selling bootlegged, illegal
Bootleg CDs or whatever, or
DVDs.
DVDs or whatever.
Right. And the police get there and they try to put him under arrest, and he tries to pull that gun, and then they shoot him. Buddy, let me tell you, under the Obama administration, if there was any little speck that they could have found on them two cops, you can bet your bottom dollar the feds would have lit them up, and they couldn't find a thing. So what does Jeff Landry think he's going to accomplish? Oh, he's going to pander to minority voters, so when he wants to run for governor, he'll have that black vote already. Well, that didn't work. The governor shot him in the foot when he said, well, the state police will only get involved if you want to collect some new evidence. Otherwise, it's on you and it's your office to investigate it. Well, it didn't go far then.
Nope.
No, I'm enjoying the show. I'm going to let you up, but I just wanted to bring that up.
It's a good point.
You were correct. I agree with you.
But yeah, because
Absolutely a
the
good
Fifth
point.
Amendment, you can't be prosecuted twice for the same thing.
That's under the double jeopardy clause of the
Yeah.
Constitution.
I read my Constitution every now and then.
Yeah, it's too bad a few politicians can't read that either, but they got problems with literacy.
I don't want to get started on them lying SOBs.
I'm with you. I'm with
Okay.
you.
Adios, my friends.
All
See ya.
right, buddy. Here's the deal now on this. First of all, there is nothing illegal per se in an association making political contributions, except in this particular case, a decision was made to do so by officers of the association who are, by virtue of their very membership in LSTA, state troopers are, like their state civil service cousins, prohibited from political activity, including making campaign contributions.
You can't even put a campaign sign or a bumper sticker on your car. They can get you. And they gave money and campaign, politic.
To conceal their action, they simply had the LSTA director, David Young, make the contributions through his personal checking account, and he was then reimbursed for his expenses. Former
My.
LSPC member Lloyd Grafton or Rustin labeled that practice money laundering.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, the commission, it goes back to the story. I wanted to page 2. I should have highlighted some of this stuff, but it goes back to the whole point of what we talked about before. You know, now New Orleans TV investigative reporter has apparently been contacted to drive the stake through Durbon's heart, completely discredit her in order to destroy her pending litigation. Zurich was scheduled to air a piece 10 p.m. Monday that is speculated to include descriptions of Durbon's attempt to fix tickets. We were just talking about that. I mean,
A lot of ticket fixing going on. Look, Lee Zurich's in the middle of this one again.
yeah.
He's gonna have to.
That's that same report we read here.
You know, he's gonna have to get himself a
He better
bulletproof
get
vest.
some protection.
Yeah.
Does Hillary involved in this?
No, he'd already be dead.
It's like,
She's more efficient than the governor.
I like the thing they did on Facebook about that. She goes, I don't understand. People keep dying around me.
Bill better watch it. He's gonna be next. He's gonna develop a cough
You
and
have
choke.
the other.
Yeah. Folks, we talked a while back about the FBI going to Tangipahoa Parish and lighting up the governor's brother, Sheriff Edwards, and it had to do with a crooked DEA task force and involved almost the whole sheriff's department and the city police over there. And the FBI came in with search warrants and seized all their cell phones, all their computers, and just about all their records. Well, here we go. FBI, a presence in Amite for the 3rd time since December. They must have the restaurants pegged out where they're going to eat because they've been here so many times. And this time they served subpoenas on the town of Amite officials. So, here we go. This time, let's see, the mayor, the police chief, and all of the Amite town council members got subpoenas. Sources told the Louisiana Voice. Mayor Buddy Bell, Mayor Pro Tem Jonathan Foster, council members Neil Carrier, Rose Sumrall, Police Chief Jerry Trabona, Independence Town Council member Calvin Baptiste, former Roseland Mayor Louis Ruffino, and Amite businessman Tom Ed were all served. 2 independent sources told The Voice that the FBI is investigating allegations of vote buying in Louisiana. Jim, have you ever heard of such a thing?
No.
In Louisiana, that somebody bought votes? I mean,
34 years.
Jim, we've even had the Night of the Living Dead when Woody Jenkins got beat by Katrina Mary, but we never had vote buying. Oh, here we go.
No, we didn't.
So basically,
No such thing happened.
and here it goes. Vote buying in the 2015 statewide election, which Sheriff Edwards' brother John Bell Edwards was elected governor, and then Daniel was reelected sheriff. Unconfirmed reports say a judge and an attorney are also under investigation for participation in vote buying. While it may not be the specific voter fraud that Trump was alleging, it has attracted the attention of the feds looking into cash for votes on Election Day. No word on which candidates were involved, but here we go. One of those served with a subpoena, Baptiste, is an employee of the Sheriff's Office, Daniel Edwards, and a member of the Independence Town Council, and he was earlier embroiled in allegations of vote buying lodged by businessman Larry Holland. It is unclear what role those subpoenas might have played or what information they may have that brought them to the attention of investigators. But here we go. Folks in Amite must feel that they're on a first-name basis with the federal agents. So last December, about 100 federal agents raided as I said, Tangipahoa Parish Sheriff's Office, Hammond Police Department, in a far-reaching investigation of a joint federal drug task force that was not good. Then 3 months later, they were back because there was a fraudulent bail bond scheme running out of where? Daniel Edwards, Dumbbells Brothers Sheriff's Office.
How could that be?
How could that be? And then they go into further detail saying that fraudulent bail bond operations are certainly nothing new to Louisiana. You know, those people up in Washington for about the past 3-4 years must have a Louisiana extension of several federal offices. You know, they have the Louisiana branch of the FBI that stays on constant deployment down here because
Well, you got them. Where you have the FBI in New Orleans,
they've been there for 20 years.
and then you have the FBI covering the state police.
18 subpoenas later.
Here's an intriguing. First of all, I want you to tell the people why every veteran in this country should be upset.
Folks, one of Hillary's, the wildebeest's, criminal buddies, Senator Richard Blumenthal, just took a very long knife and stuck it in the backs of every veteran alive in America today. Senator Blumenthal, in his esteemed wisdom, wants to give, now sit down, be sure you're hanging on to the chair, $500 million of your hard-earned tax dollars to Ukrainian veterans. Now, it boggles my mind, first off, how you would want to select veterans from the Ukraine who basically speak Russian and Ukrainian to give $500 million to, when you got veterans who are on the street, who are homeless, jobless, drug issues, PTSD, missing limbs, traumatic brain injuries. I mean, I could make a list that we could talk 10 minutes, 20 minutes about all of this. That $500 million would go a long way to getting these people proper medical care, proper housing, proper psychological counseling. I mean, all sorts of things. But no, this dirty Democrat, who is dirty in the classic sense of the word, because he's one of the people that Hillary Clinton was getting information from and going back and forth with, all wrapped up in her dirty dealings, wants to give money to the Ukrainians. Look, I'm as generous as the next guy, but let's take care of our people first.
We ain't doing that.
We never have.
Nope.
Never have.
So now that I asked you to do that, I want to tell you something else.
Oh, it just gets better and better.
We can't make this stuff up, people.
No.
I'm telling you, I read this article, and I'm going to read every name.
Yep.
Every name.
And there's a shocker on there, too.
Here's the headlines. Here are the 24 Republicans that voted to make Uncle Sam pay for transgender surgeries. The Republican-controlled government should have reined in some of their excessive, insane Obama-era policies on Thursday. The House of Representatives voted 214 to 209 to reject an amendment to the National Defense Authorization Act that would prevent the Pentagon from paying for hormone therapy and surgeries for transgender individuals. Now, we're talking the military here. Okay? That's horrible. Democrats have said that the proposal is bigoted and unconstitutional. That don't surprise me. They won support from 24 GOP lawmakers to scuttle the amendment to the defense policy, according to the Washington Post. Here are the 24 Republicans that voted to defeat this bill and keep transgenderism in the military, compiled by the Gateway Pundit. Amash from Michigan, Missouri. Is that M-I-S?
Amash, yeah.
Bergman from Michigan. Coffin from Colorado. Comstock from Virginia. Cook from California. Costello from Pennsylvania, Curbelo from Florida, Daham from California, Dent from Pennsylvania, Fazo from New York, Fitzpatrick from Pennsylvania, and here's a real killer, Isa,
Daryl Issa.
Darrell Isa from California, Catco from New York, Knight from California, Lance from New Jersey, boy, it's a mouthful, Laviando from New Jersey, MacArthur from New Jersey, Mast from Florida. Lentonen from Florida, Ross, get my page here, Schuster from Pennsylvania, Stefanik from New York, and Tenney from New York. If you notice, most of that was in the Northeast or California. A couple out of Florida, one out of Colorado. Most of it was from the Northeast. You heard right. There are Republicans that voted to keep transgenderism in the military. If the left is so worried about Russia, then why are they making our fighting force weaker with this crap? You just can't make this stuff up, people. I mean, the Democrats are hanging on. We didn't say anything about this tonight because we're just tired of it. And so are you. This whole Russia deal is like, I don't know what to call it.
Basically what it is the fact that the Democrats lost the biggest fixed election in history, and they cannot get over it. So their only way they can see to fight back is to continually harp and cry and moan and get the crying towel and constantly yell conspiracy, this and that and other, when in fact they just lost and lost. Now, that brings up a very interesting article that I have right here that was very good, written by a fellow by the name of Kiran Solari. And the title of this article is that the elites have no idea what is coming. And it starts off, you've all felt the change in the air, no doubt, the stuffiness, the tension, the leaden heart that only comes before a major storm, when the birds land, ruffle up feathers, animals scurry, hide, and the media amps up its venom spitting to record volumes. However, if you look closely, you will notice that it is only the rank and file panicking. Their owners continue to act like nothing is happening, and there are reasons for that, and it will be covered here. How it begins, and I'm going to summarize a lot of this. You take the ordinary guy, ordinary Joe, salt of the earth guy, works, might be married, taking care of parents, has mouths to feed, on his way to work. You know, he routinely encounters numerous freaks with dyed hair, piercings, tattoos, and other. They give him the contemptuous glares if they even bother to acknowledge him. The rich, pampered customers that Joe caters to in his line of work treat him the same, but Joe isn't really bothered. As long as his family's fed, he can crack open a cold one when he gets home in the evening. He's okay. However, one day Joe continues to work and discovers that he and most of his co-workers have been replaced by foreigners, with measly sums offered as compensation. Dejected, worried, he heads home. He's accosted by a bunch of Muslim immigrants, while nearby neon-haired freaks laugh and film it. Then his mother calls, saying that grandma fell down the stairs, broke a bone, has costly surgery coming up. Upon arriving home, Joe hastily calls some of his ex-customers with whom he thought he had built a rapport, probing for job opportunities, but he gets a callous disregard and they say bye. Frustrated, he flops down in front of his TV only to hear his favorite comedian mock white males like him while praising the politician responsible for mass layoffs and mass immigration. Switching channels doesn't help. Wherever he ends up, all he sees and hears is hatred directed at him and his. He is called a monster and a descendant of murderers. His culture is denounced and degraded. And all this was happening long before Joe got laid off, of course. But between watching football matches, guzzling beer, and working, he was really too tired to get into it. Funny, folks, sound like something I've said. And he could always run away to get another distraction, but now he's stuck. Heart of the matter. Folks, the fellow who wrote this article was a survivor of a civil war that lasted for 6 years. The country was in free fall, no electricity, water, gas. Starvation made the Congo look like a paradise. These people dug around dumpsters and landfills trying to eat. Century-old relics and heirlooms were pawned for scraps of food. Furniture was chopped into firewood. Every day came news of someone's relative, friend, or neighbor dying, either shot, murdered, killed in a knife fight over a loaf of bread. And the reward for survival was a metric ton of priceless experience and life lessons. Nothing lights a fire under a man's behind like the prospect of seeing his children starve. And this is almost upon us. Ever seen a food riot? This guy has. Do you have what it takes to go out and your children hadn't eaten for 3 days and see what you're capable of? Now imagine what the rioters will do if well armed and are perfectly aware of who is responsible for this situation. Here lies the difference, the red line that separates the us from them. We know how bad things can get. All of us at some time or another have had struggled through hardship, make risky decisions that endanger us or loved ones. Some of these people, like this guy, survived wars under communism, and others eked out an existence in anarchic, crime-ridden states or spent most of our lives fighting extreme poverty. Members of this linger in the back of these people's heads. He called that retrospective tension. Still, Western men have been kept placid through endless distraction and lies for decades. Those who resisted, anyway, were sent quickly behind bars. Think the Bundys. Think the Hammonds. While the majority are content to watch their nations get slowly picked apart by parasites. Several generations of neutered pseudo-males were born, but now, folks, the haze is starting to dissipate. Bewildered people look around and they see ruin. They cannot slip back into soothing illusions of watching LSU football and baseball and drinking the beer because they don't have anyone else but themselves to rely on. At this moment, we have the entire population of the West, about 400 million men, backed into a corner, angry, desperate, but certainly not hopeless. Think Trump deplorables who just voted Trump in. The flip side, folks, inhabitants of the ivory towers, however, and they show a picture of Kissinger, Soros, and Rockefeller, of course, have no cause for panic. Why would they? After all, their basic instincts never developed due to a lack of any adversity in their lives. They were propelled through life by the dubious virtue of their relations, connections, and inheritances without a care in the world. For the entirety of these people's existence, they have never left the sterile comfort of boardrooms, villas, conference halls, luxury hotels, and posh restaurants. Here is the trick. These parasitic creatures do not know the world they live in at all. They spend their lives surrounded by yes men and servants, mingle with the vacuous and hypocritical cream of society, also known as the turds that won't flush, and keep contact with the outside only through mediums and filters like lack of genuine humor and interaction combined with an extremely decadent lifestyle and delusions of grandeur has culminated in them developing a completely demented view of reality. Here lies the roots of their adherence to lurid ideologies and worldviews, as inability to understand the human mind results in total absence of empathy and a tendency to view people as mindless cattle. That's us eaters, folks. Some, owing to the religious belief, openly think so. Their solution for the unruly masses is always the same, yet another economic crisis to send everybody scurrying. Sound familiar? This time, however, they are in for a surprise, the chink in the armor. Nothing ever goes wrong in the world of the elites. It is those directly below them that are susceptible to panic, and nowhere is it seen more clearly than in today's America on the verge of the Trump presidency. This guy was talking about the middlemen, the lightning rods, the media moguls, the millionaires, celebrities, pundits, low-tiered politicians, lawyers, and other detritus. They still moderately mingle with common folk. Some even do their grocery shopping with us, so they're not entirely out of touch. while as morally bankrupt, ruthless, and degenerate as their owners, the Kissingers, the Rothschilds, the Soros, and the Rockefellers, many of them have been in some actual trouble at least once in their lives, and they also know or at least suspect how bad things can get. But they never learn from the experience, but they choose to suppress it. But today they see vivid, healthy rage in the eyes of others. They encounter those Trump voters that are bold, openly defying their programming. They experience genuine hatred and contempt aimed at them from us. They recall their few interactions with the real people and see what these people are capable of when sufficiently provoked. And folks, their knees are starting to shake. What does it feel like to have your media empire carefully built on seething disdain, representable acts, and kissed backsides crushed before your eyes because people no longer want to swallow its poison? Think Fox News, folks. What is it like to have people spit at you in the street when for all your life you imagine to be nothing short of royalty? Think CNN anchors. How does it feel to suddenly realize your callous words and evil actions have been carefully logged and that you will face responsibility for every single one? I wouldn't know, but they will soon find out. The panic is here, as real as it is crippling. And the most interesting part is that the middlemen are hesitant to inform their masters, the Rothschilds, the Soros, the Kissingers, of what is really going down in fear of getting thrown to the wolves themselves. So desperate to hang on to what little scraps of powers the middlemen have, they'd rather go down with the ship slowly than be tossed overboard as the ballast. For them, there is no life outside the ivory towers, and these very towers are about to burn. By slowly force-feeding the whole world a dish poisoned with apathy and degeneration, the elites have inadvertently taken a large bite themselves. Their arrogance, complacently, and hubristic belief that things are always going to go according to the plan will be their downfall, because the people's anger has reached a fevered pitch, and the parasites will be excised, the filth will be cleansed, justice will be meted out, and a new golden age for the West will dawn.
I have the perfect opinion letter that I copied out of the Advocate to follow that.
Fire away.
It shows exactly what you said. Cries about fake news are nonsense. It's the headline. Many times I've seen letters to the editors decrying fake news, accusing them of colluding and conspiring to bring down the president. These letters will also often claim that the use of anonymous sources only discredits the media. I agree with it discredits the media. How many times do we look at opinion sections and there's nobody? USA. Who wrote that for the who wrote it? They couldn't get it more wrong. Readers who feel this way get plenty of space within the Advocate, but I wonder if the Advocate will even publish this. Often a reporter can only get the scoop if the inside source remains anonymous. That's BS. Think of all the scandals and stories based entirely in truth that we'd stay misinformed on because we demand the whistleblowers out themselves publicly. Well, could Watergate be revealed under such conditions? You'll also often hear that every single news source besides a beloved few, Fox News, WSJ, and AM radio, talk radio, two of which are owned by the same conservative actor, and the last with a heavy right-wing bias, are the only true sources of news. News agencies that aren't explicitly right-wing are all fake, absurd. If coverage of Donald Trump's actual words and deeds seem anti-Trump to you, that says more about you and Trump than it does about the reporting. That's a mouthful. If not biased to say the naked emperor is naked, it's not biased. Respected news outlets, get ready. Don't fall off your chair.
Oh yeah.
This is a mouthful here. Respected news outlets like NPR, PBS, NBC, CBS, and of course the good old Associated Press, who often 9 out of 10 because no one is perfect, get the story early and accurately are trashed because they aren't cheerleading like Spock and Friends.
Mm-hmm.
We're told they ignore real news, but at the same time, we're told unemployment numbers under Obama were fake. But those same numbers reported by the same agent on Trump are very real now. Ridiculous. We're told regular news is all fake, that we'd better be off listening to AM radio. Really, you're putting up AM talk radio as the standard for journalistic excellence? Are you insane? How often has Alex Jones' scoop panned out to be verified truth? How often does Rush Limbaugh cite his sources? This coming from a party that views colleges as a net negative in our country, according to recent polling. Anyone who thinks Fox News is fair and balanced, there was a time, should contend with the fact that their viewers on the average are less informed than those who watch no news at all. We're talking about people who basically say, if it's not explicitly biased politically the way I like, then it's fake. If it's negative about Trump, it's automatically fake. Forgive me, I don't follow their advice on what's good journalism. Now, I want to tell you who this guy was. Darren Jones, college, are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
College logic instructor, Baton Rouge. I mean, that fits with what you said with the elitists.
The thing that's really funny about the elites, folks, and all of the stuff that I've read off to you, you can go and you can Google it, and I encourage people to do so. You don't have to believe a word I say.
You don't have to believe anything.
Go back and double check your sources, folks. Right now, these elites, using your tax money, have constructed 144 deep underground military bases connected by maglev tunnels as part of the continuation of government plan. What these rats, and I will use the word rat because it describes it pretty good, have planned is that whenever what event goes kinetic and happens and causes all of the chaos that these people seem to think they want, these rats think that they are going to crawl into their hidey holes, jump on their little maglev trains, and end up at either the Denver airport at the big base there, Weather Mountain, the Greenbrier Hotel in Kentucky, or Iron Mountain, or wherever this particular bunch of scumbags thinks they're going to go. But you know, and we've talked about this before, there's one other chink in their theory, Jim. These politicians get along worse than junior high school girls in an athletic event.
Oh, yeah.
They're jealous. They fight. Their wives are pampered, privileged princesses. Their kids are spoiled rotten. You can't put these people down in a cement hidey hole all together. That'd be worse than putting 10 wet cats in a sack and then beating it with a stick. These people are going to kill each other.
The ground would be
Yes,
going.
Jim, I submit that you give it a week. And,
I told you,
and these
bang.
people will have to be separated by their bodyguards and will be coming to blows, shooting, backstabbing, and poisoning each other. And we won't have an American government because they will have killed off each other underground.
That's what I was thinking. You know, they'll pick up one of them and hit him on the concrete thing. Now here's another one of your elitists, okay? Pocahontas. Y'all know who Pocahontas is? Liz Warren. Now, Kid Rock announced he's going to run for the Senate in Michigan. Liz Warren is from Massachusetts, right?
Pocahontas.
Liz Warren sounds fundraising alarm over Kid Rock's potential Senate run.
You know, this is going to be hilarious because, you know, I have to admit, I've never been a real big fan of Kid Rock's music. It's just personal preference. I have nothing against the man. It's just his music has never been something that really appealed to me. But the man...
He's no dummy.
...has the right to run. The man has shown conservative roots. He agrees with the conservative principles, a lot like Ted Nugent, a lot like Gene Simmons, like quite a few of these guys. And he has every right to run, and she ought to be scared because he's got the money, the star power, and whatever to give them a run for their money.
Well, and here's the thing. I've seen Kid Rock, not performing, but I've seen him on shows. You know, and I mean, one of them was the Food Network. But when you listen to the guy talk,
He's no dummy.
he's no dummy.
Well, Jim, let's put out the big guy out there, the man who made the money off the song Cat Scratch Fever. I could have voted for Uncle Ted Nugent to be president. Ted Nugent is one of the most eloquent, deep, educated, politically conservative guys in the country.
You think he likes the Second Amendment?
Now he's got Ted Nugent at his ranch. I don't even have to call Miss Cleo from the Psychic Fringe Network. He has got enough firepower out there to be able to take out a small South American country, and he could probably take over Venezuela by himself and his buddies and hold it. But the thing that I like about this is this shows you an average guy who's made money off his skills. Hey, he has an honest,
Very popular in Detroit.
and he does an honest job. I mean, yeah, he's been fortunate. He's made a lot of money, but it's all his work. He didn't go to Congress and steal it from somebody like Pelosi and Kerry and the rest of them. And if he's successful, I pat him on the back because he did what an American should do. He worked hard and he made his way.
I think it's interesting
She's worried.
that Elizabeth Warren, is worried about him.
And wait, she's got a real Indian who's coming after her. She's a fake
Oh,
Indian.
yeah.
She got a
The
real
one
Indian.
that's running against her.
Yeah. Oh.
He called her out. Here's the other thing. Let's look at Minnesota. What's that comedian's name in Minnesota that's a clown in... What the heck is his name?
Is it Frank?
Huh?
Frank.
I forget who it is, but anyways.
I'll look it up.
They're saying about this guy being these are clowns. Elizabeth Warren, I'm an Indian. Nicknamed her
That's it. Al Franken.
Al Franken. Please.
He's a
If
senator.
somebody like Al Franken can get elected,
He's a senator.
for God's sake.
Oh, and by the way, it's also that's the same state that elected that yo-yo idiot Muslim Keith Ellison who swore in on the Quran.
Yeah. Which to me,
He's not official.
I would hate to say it, he is not official.
He's not official.
The official thing is to swear in on the Bible. And to me, they swore in that one judge on the Quran.
Yeah, you notice she's the one turned up dead.
Oh, yeah.
That was the one who turned up in the river, bobbing like a fresh turd in a cesspool.
But you see,
She dead. Don't know why. Don't know how.
that was a really good article you read on Elitist. Because it really nailed a lot of stuff we've always talked
And
about.
the interesting part about it, Jim, is that if there wasn't always a resentment between the us and the them, these people in the last 8 years putting the Muslim goat-humping dope smoker in office even pushed it more to show that the Hillary Clintons of the world and all of those type of people have a separate set of laws over them that's different from us little people. If we'd have done 0.1% of the things that Hillary has done, the four of us in this room would be, Sheriff Garber would be our landlord, and we would be eating parish food from a jumpsuit. We might be lucky if they put us out on the grass crew, you know?
Could be.
Yeah, we might be lucky.
Here's
That's Reverend McGowan.
hello,
Good evening,
sir.
Charles.
Yes, we've had an outage most of the night, and I just wanted to call and see if Brett received that information I sent about the city of New Orleans and what I left over there at the AOC.
We'll be covering that on next week, Charles. We had so much loaded up. We'll cover that next week.
Well, that's good. And the Sons of Confederacy magazine is doing something about it, too. But anyway,
Excellent.
look, I want to thank you all.
Yeah, I
for
get their
everything.
emails.
You have a good night.
Thank
You
you.
too, sir.
Bye.
Here's a little section on Rock. He's 46 years old. His real name is Robert James Ritchie.
Hey, is he Richie Rich
Ritchie.
in the comics?
Rock has launched a website, kidrockforsenate.com.
Hey, I'm more power to him.
But then this guy says, still don't count him out, said Saul Anusis, the former chairman of the Michigan Republican Party. He's well liked. He's a big proponent of Detroit, and somebody
Thank you.
Somebody who puts his money where his mouth is investing back home. Rock campaigned, I'm just saying his first rodeo here. Rock campaigned with former Bay State Governor Mitt Romney during the 2012 GOP primary, and his song Born Free was Romney's campaign theme. In April, he was photographed in the Oval Office with President Trump, former Alaska Governor Sarah Palin, and fellow rocker Ted Nugent.
Uncle Ted.
Now you know who's going to be putting the money behind him.
And you know, it's pretty interesting that you brought up that last photo op he had, because there was a steady stream of naysayers, especially on Fox News. The only two people on Fox News election night who were in Trump's corner was Tucker Carlson and Monica Crowley, and they weren't on at the same time. Everybody else, including Karl Rove, was against him. But you know what? Trump won.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Hey, I was talking about all them politicians and all that, and they came to my mind. I know how to fix the healthcare thing.
Okay. Make them have our health care.
Yeah, put everybody on the same thing. The senators, the representatives, everybody got the same health care as we got.
A lot of people have said that.
Yeah,
And also,
to the VA.
and wait, Goat Man, and here's the rub. Not only make it the same health care, but make it the same health care in their retirement too. So they have to keep it the rest of their lives, not just for while they're in office. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
If they had to do all the same things we have to do that they make laws of, if they had to follow the same things we follow,
Well, look at Martha Stewart. She got put in jail for what Pelosi and John Kerry and the rest do every day. It's called insider trading.
The way I look at it, what's good for the goose is good for the gander.
Well,
Got it.
that little article I just read about the elites applies
yeah.
to them. That's the people that have no clue what's coming, but it's coming, buddy.
Yeah, I want to find the ventilation hose and put some garbage bags over them.
Actually, Goat
I'll see y'all
Man,
later.
Goat Man, you're not gonna have to do that. They're gonna be fussing and fighting so bad amongst each other. They're gonna come out like ants, running.
you see the healthcare thing. I saw a real statement about the healthcare thing. Why is government involved in making the decisions for your healthcare?
Big money. A third of the economy.
I was at a client's, it was a chiropractor, and we were talking about my neck and that kind of stuff. And I said, then I was telling him about the cardiologist. And we were having a discussion about doctors and all that stuff. And I said, yeah, I told him I wasn't taking the statins anymore. And he said, how did that go? I said, not well. And he kept telling me all these things that are in that, and I needed to take these statins and all that. And I said, and I looked at him and I said, you're going to love this statement I made to him. And I said, you know what, to the cardiologist, I said, do you know what, y'all are so affixed and with big pharma that you've lost touch with your patients and what's really gonna. And he said, how did that go over? And I went, not well.
Just like going to a Washington party, dipping the spoon into the punch, and there's a big old turd just sitting in the punch. I bet it just went over well. Or a cockroach.
He
either
got
one.
a kick out of that though.
Oh, I bet so.
But he didn't disagree with me about the statins.
Well, they're getting kickbacks on that. You'll notice everybody in America is pushing those statin drugs, and it's so funny because the side effects are worse than the ailment. You'd be better off having hardening of the arteries,
that's
because
why
by the time the statins get finished with you,
taking them.
you've already had Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, you've got muscle pain, and got all kind of other side effects. You're better off taking your chances with the natural ailments.
And that's why I stopped taking them, because I was starting to get some serious
Folks,
issues.
we've only got a few minutes before we go, and I'm going to go into this to you quickly.
Close it out with that.
Patriot Lavoy Finicum, the autopsy has shown was executed. But the interesting thing about the execution, folks, if y'all remember the FBI fuzzy video that shows nothing really obvious, and the sound is not there, so you can't tell when shots were fired and at what pace. But you can see Lavoy Finicum, you see rounds hitting the car before he gets out. His hands are out the window trying to surrender, and they're shooting at him. That's really a surrender, proof of an assassination. But the big thing is that he gets out, hands are up, something hits him, he grabs his side, and then autopsy shows he's shot 3 times in the back. Now, how can the cops in the back of him say that he's a threat when he's shot from the back, yet he's facing away from them and all of a sudden doubles over in pain and grabs his side? He never came up from that. Then he's allowed to bleed in the snow. Well, this article goes into detail because indicted FBI hostage rescue team member W. Joseph Astorita has retained a high-powered, expensive attorney, Mr. Robert Carey, because he has been indicted for lying.
Got 30 seconds.
So, folks, we'll talk more about this tomorrow. Folks,
At Elise's, 6:30.
Folks, we got a gun show coming up in August. I think that first or second weekend in August. Y'all better be over there, and y'all better be buying what you think you need.
All right, well, God bless y'all and God bless America. And another week comes to an end. Y'all have a great week. Pray for our country. That's all we can do.